See, but even when I go to anomaly, he's... Oh, is this not the right one? Yeah, I see it. Anomaly, he has the live.
Relax. We're live.
We're live.
We're live.
How do you know?
I'm on the YouTubes right now and I see us.
Oh my goodness, I see us too.
Oh, wow. It's so delayed.
Is it?
It's probably 30 seconds delayed. Nice. So that means if we say anything that's going to get us in trouble, we have 30 seconds to like, I mean, even if we end the live, it's still going to upload. Dang it. There's no way to pull the cord, huh?
No.
Okay, we're committed.
Well, yeah, I mean...
make another sticker. Put it on your mic saying, watch your profanity.
Oh, do I have to?
Watch your profanity.
You can't censor me.
I can't.
Nice.
I can't censor you when we're live. This is raw, real, uncut. Ben is the menace, first and only.
So, do you know if anyone's with us right now?
It does say that there's one person.
So it's me.
Guys, give us a break. It's our first live. We're dialing it in.
How come? Hang on, I'm getting this.
Oh, you're the one.
I know,
it says that there's one person. It's you.
And I'm gonna love it,
bro. You're my best friend.
I just loved it.
You're my biggest fan.
Look at all that love. That's for you, Ben.
I'm gonna go love it too. Dennis, we are our only two fans.
Dude, if someone comes out, you're the number two.
I'm number two. Hey, but
put your volume all the way down.
I know. Hold on. I'm trying to figure it out.
All right. So if someone comes on,
but where do people chat?
We're gonna go crazy.
Oh my gosh! Look in the chat. Hello,
dude. How have we not done this yet? We've been recording for over a year now.
Oh, dude, it's been close to like 2 years.
Has it been that? Bro, you're right.
Close.
Yeah. This spring will be 2 years.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have
allegedly.
Yes. Welcome everybody.
Allegedly.
Welcome to our first ever Nis the Menace live YouTube live episode. Are we live anywhere else or just YouTube?
Romania.
In your dreams. Okay, so
we're live on YouTube in Romania.
We have a third person.
Oh my God, who are you? How do we see the chat?
I don't know. I can't see who it is, but thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here.
On our very first live guest.
There's two.
Two more.
Okay, Dennis.
The first one.
Yourself.
Did I get a little too excited there?
We're professionals.
Yes. Okay, so the first one, you were the first. Thank you, number 3.
Number 3.
Ben and I were first and second. And then
tell us who you are in the chat.
Yeah, very, very first.
Number 4.
We got to send them something.
You're also welcomed.
Yeah, 4 is good too. 4 is
you
good too.
You get this beanie.
Well, what does the first one get? Or the first one gets that one?
Yes.
Send us your at, and we'll connect with you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. We have a really hang on. Before we jump into things, I just want to self-congratulate ourselves for being on live.
This is our first live. I'm proud of us. After all this time that we've been talking about going live, we're finally doing it.
Yeah, we popped our cherry.
Oh, dude, it's probably my parents.
Oh, shouldn't have
Mom.
said pop my cherry.
Hi, Mom. That's Dennis. Mom.
That's Ben's my only friend.
Hey, my parents are in my basement right now.
What are they
probably
doing
watching
in there?
Watching us.
That sounds so weird.
She's gonna like bust in and
sounds
spank
so
me.
Weird, dude.
Why? They're visiting. They live in my basement when they visit.
Did you just say spank me? Ben, what is happening?
We're professional.
This is yeah. Hey, they're still here. The 2 people are still with us. So
they're our biggest fans.
We haven't lost them yet.
Okay, do the intro, and we're getting into it.
Welcome to Nis the Menace, our very first live episode. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And I think this is going to be the first of many live episodes because obviously we're so good at it. And this episode is probably going to be titled Allegedly because that is going to be the word of the day.
Word of the day.
Yes, and you will understand why as we get into this. But we have a really great episode. Before we dive in, remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, and just show us some love, and let
And
us
now
know
when
who
you
you are.
comment, it's live. There's
Yeah,
comments.
it,
Look,
it's live.
look, voice in the wilderness. I'm so honored. I usually just listen and don't comment. Glad I found you two.
Oh, thank you so much.
Voice in the wilderness. You get this beanie.
There you go. Dude, I want that beanie.
You have
Dang
another
it.
one.
I
No,
got it.
no, 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 no.
I got a forest green beanie, and you think it's great.
And thank you for being patient with us while we try to figure out how to use like the comments and stuff.
Yeah, and thanks for commenting. Yeah, that was so sweet.
This is incredible.
This is so cool. Okay, we got to do live. Like, I think all of our hang sessions should be live from now on.
I think you're right too. It
And
gives
that way
it gives our
can't-
fans a chance to hang out with us.
Yeah, and to actually hear what I sound like without you censoring me all the time. So we have a pretty cool episode today. We're going to talk about the Billy Carson and Wes Huff debate. Debacle, really. And I think, we're going to either name this allegedly or Oh Billy. So one of those is going to be the title. We'll see. I'm going with Oh Billy.
Yeah.
Because Billy, this whole
That's pretty
time
good.
it was such okay. So if you've seen it, I think we have some comments on it, but we have some clips that we want to show, and we want to do some what do we call it? Or we just like feedback, or what is it called? Comment.
We're gonna. Hey, there's another person. Third. Welcome.
Welcome,
third friend.
Oh my goodness.
Let us know who you are in the comments.
And we're saying only the third friend because even though there's 5 in there, it's just because Ben and I are number 1 and number 2.
We're both in there. Okay,
Yes.
So listen, before we get into the Billy Carson, Wes Huff debate that was removed from Instagram, allegedly at Billy's request.
Allegedly.
Let me read. I have to read a legal disclaimer so that we
Yeah.
don't get sued.
Yeah, because we make no money. So if we get sued, what happens if we get sued and we make no money?
We go bankrupt. And we don't want that to happen.
No.
So here is a legal disclaimer that I screenshotted from somebody else on YouTube. Okay. This video is based on publicly available records, verified sources, and thorough research. I have made every effort to ensure that the information presented is accurate and supported by documented evidence. The purpose of this video is to inform and raise awareness about matters of public interest, not to defame or harm anyone. I encourage viewers to verify the information themselves and approach these topics critically. The content herein is my opinion, based on our opinion, based on these records, and does not constitute legal or professional advice. No advice. We don't give anybody advice ever. Okay.
Right.
So anyway, that's the legal disclaimer we have to read because things are getting spicy out here in the Billy Carson drama world. So Dennis, let me give a little history on the debacle. Okay. So I don't know if you guys have been keeping up, but about 2 weeks ago, there is a character named Billy Carson. He runs a whole organization called Forbidden Knowledge. Dude, they're worth, we're talking about tens of millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah. He's raising money right now. I got like a video from him, like asking for for people to invest in his company.
Yes. That's their media enterprise that they're building right now. I think it's already launched, but they're trying to expand it, right? So we're talking about an organization worth tens and tens of millions of dollars, but also backed by people that are substantially more wealthy and up there in this scene than Billy Carson is, So about 2 weeks ago, there's a guy named Mark Maynard and Menard. I don't know how to say it. And he is neighbors with Billy Carson. And so he's been on his show several times before. And Mark is a recent convert to Christianity. And Billy, if you guys know any of Billy's stuff, he is pretty adamantly against Christianity. He believes that there's a God and that there's a God of the universe, but he's also super, super new age. So he thinks we're all God. There's a spark of the divine in each of us. Christ consciousness is coming back, and it's going to enlighten mankind and take us into this next great eon in humanity, right?
Sounds great.
I mean, I wouldn't mind, but the problem is Mark had Billy on and asked, "Hey, I know you like bring stuff up about Christianity in a lot of your videos. Would you ever talk to somebody that kind of can like answer your questions or can like push back or anything like that? Kind of like a little friendly debate, right?" So he said, "Yeah, sure, bring anybody on." And through an individual named Anton Wisbicki, okay, must be Polish. What? Right?
Yeah, there's a good chance.
Hey, chances are.
Yeah, very high chance. I
Wisbicki.
don't know why that information needed to be said, but it's really good chance.
All information is necessary to paint a very detailed
That's a great
picture.
answer. That's a great answer. Okay, so the Polish dude.
So through this guy, Anton Wisbicki, who is okay, listen, I've got all the knowledge here about this because I'm deep. This is what I've been doing for 2 weeks, okay? Because Billy is he's not friendly to the Christian community, and he's been saying some stuff for decades that's like pretty heinous, you know what I mean? And only about Christianity. So this is why I'm deep, and this is why I have all these details, all right? Hey, Dennis, while I rant, do you want to get in the comments and see what people are saying?
Yeah, I'm reading them right now. Definitely Polish, so they agree.
Who said that?
Che Luca.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Che, I wish I had another beanie to give you. Maybe Dennis will give you his worn one.
Dude, it's worth more money. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's a Christian Beavis and Butthead. Nice.
Nice. That's us.
Hey,
okay. So this guy, Anton, he works with Mark. He's part of their marketing team, okay, and social media team. But he used to work for Billy, and they had a pretty bad falling out. Like legal was involved, a bunch of stuff.
The guy Mark, the Polish guy or the
Dennis, handle the comments.
Mark Maynard?
No, okay.
Worked for Billy? Or the Polish guy worked for Billy?
Do you guys see what I work with here?
Allegedly. I was distracted by American Girl and Jay Luca.
Oh, she's also one of our biggest fans. I wish I had more beanies.
Can I have grape juice on live?
Grape juice on live is permitted. Okay.
So allegedly.
Listen, Dennis, catch up. Okay.
All right.
So Mark Maynard is Billy's neighbor and is the one that hosted. Look at me when I talk. You're distracted already. You're already distracted. I don't want to go through this again. Just watch me while I'm talking to you.
Okay, I'm zoned in.
Okay. Mark Maynard is the podcast host that had Billy Carson on and Wes Huff on. So Mark is the host. Okay.
Okay.
Anton is the one that works with Mark and connected Mark with Billy.
He's the Polish guy.
He's the Polish guy. Connected Mark with Billy, with Wes for the debate.
Got it.
But Anton used to work with Billy as well.
Got it.
He used to run their social media.
Got it.
Okay. They had a bad falling out.
Ooh.
So Billy and Anton no longer work together. Now Mark and Anton work together. Okay. So Billy had no idea who Wes Huff was. Okay. Eyes up.
Sorry.
Billy had no idea who Mark was or who Wes was. Okay. And
how can you know?
He wasn't, dude. Wes, until this popped off, Wes was like a small name within the Christian community, but people that knew him knew he was solid. You know what I mean?
So solid.
He's blowing up now, and it's well deserved. Well deserved.
Agreed.
Check out Wesley Huff's stuff on Instagram and YouTube. Fantastic follow. So the debate it starts. Billy is not ready. He's not ready. He basically just said, yeah, bring anybody on. And this guy freaking brings on like the Mike Tyson in his prime, not like thong wearing Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson, but brings on like the Mike Tyson version of like Christian manuscript evidence study scholar guy, which is Wesley Huff. So if you're a nerd about like history and manuscripts and data and evidences and all that, Wesley Huff's your guy. So the debate starts. And right off the bat, basically, they just allow Billy to, they ask him, hey, what's your position on Christianity? And he goes on, his main thing is that Christ wasn't crucified. And from there, it's just an hour and a half of Billy getting destroyed. Like
Right.
Wesley destroys the guy. Okay. On all fronts.
It's like every question, every single question, every single comment. Yeah.
And we're going to go over it. There's about 4 main conversations that they have, or 4 main topics that they cover within this hour and a half. I've removed not a lot of the conversation between Billy and Wes. I've removed a lot of Mark's commentary. And it's actually kind of sad. Like, if you've been watching other people talking about this, I missed a very important detail. After the debate was over, okay, within a couple, actually not within a couple hours, I believe within a couple days, Mark uploads it. It's up for 6 hours, and then he removes it. And the reason he removed it is because allegedly, Billy requested / potentially threatened with legal action if Mark doesn't freaking remove it. And Mark and Billy were friends before this happened. They are neighbors. Mark was at Billy's freaking wedding.
No way.
He was one of like a handful of guests.
Wow.
So these guys go back. They have like an actual relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And poor Mark, the host, like, I don't think the guy knew what he was about to unleash by facilitating this debate.
Right.
And he's just like this nice new Christian guy that's just like,
totally nice.
I love Jesus, and Jesus saves,
and I have a lot of questions.
and I have questions. You know what I mean? And the community, like people like me who know about Billy and what he does and what he says about Christianity, are like, dude, this guy's got to, something's got to happen to this guy. Somebody's got to bring this guy down. You know what I mean? Because this has been ongoing. He's on Joe Rogan. He's on PBD. He's on Andrew Schultz. He's on Sean Ryan. I mean, he's like on the largest podcasts in the world, spewing some of the most like anti-Christian lies. That, bro, you could just Google what the guy's claiming. Just Google what Billy's saying, and it's like, oh, Barnabas is a fake book. Like, why would you cite that as one of your freaking sources to claim that Christ was not crucified? You know what I mean? So, anywho, then allegedly, this guy Anton, who has bad blood with Billy, he ends up starting to go deep on Billy and exposing a lot of his stuff. We'll link Anton's video in here as well. And listen, this might end up getting removed. Okay. So if it does, like if you guys are watching this, download it or share it, do something to keep this going, because it might get removed because Billy's going like legal scorched earth. Allegedly. So Billy requests that the video gets taken down. Okay. Potentially, allegedly threatens Mark with a lawsuit, allegedly shows up at Mark's house at 2:30 in the morning with alleged legal papers for Mark to take the video down.
We have a video of that.
Dennis, would you like to pull up the alleged video of Billy Carson showing up to Mark Menard's house at 2:39 in the morning?
Or Menard.
I don't know.
All right, there we go.
And this is all alleged, of course.
Check it.
This is Ring door cam footage from allegedly Mark Menard's house of Billy Carson.
Oh, is that it?
That's it. It's just him ringing the doorbell. Bro, so Mark, hey, these guys are neighbors. This guy walked over in his freaking like Versace flip-flops, you know what I mean? With legal papers, allegedly. Can you stop sharing?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Look at there.
Dude, Mark's got like kids. He's got a wife. Like he's got a family and a life. You know what I mean? So this poor guy opened up this can of worms, and freaking Billy like allegedly snaps. You know what I mean? And now it was leaked. The video was leaked. Other people downloaded it because it was online for 6 hours.
Okay.
Wesley Huff put out a video saying, hey, I debated Billy Carson.
I saw that video. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that like 2 weeks ago?
I watched that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you looked at the comments, in that video where Wesley, it's like a 3-minute thing, right? Or 2-minute. People in there are roasting freaking Wesley, saying it never happened. You're a liar. This is clickbait. Just like dragging him through the mud, right? Because there's no video. There's no evidence of their freaking debate. It's just him saying, hey, I debated. So then a few days later, Mark puts out a statement on YouTube saying, hey, no, the debate actually did happen. And then Mark clips particular portions of the debate and releases those, in his statement to show that this actually freaking happened. So that's where it left off. Then a few big name like Christian figures, like what's the guy's name? Rusland.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So he picks it up and he's like, hey, we need to make this happen again. And we'll pay. Ruslan's like, I'll pay for everybody to get together and like redo it. You know what I mean? Don't just freaking take this offline and hide it. We should have this again. The best way for Billy to kind of regain his face in this scenario is if he debates Wesley again.
Yeah, he's not going to do it though. There's no way, man. He was destroyed. It was.
You know what his
contest.
His excuse was, bro? You know what his excuse was? He said, Mark, take it down because I have a contract. Allegedly, Billy said this. I have a contractual obligation with another prominent Christian scholar or personality in the near future for a debate. And the conversation me and Wes had on your podcast infringes on that contractual obligation.
BS.
I don't believe that at all. Like what Christian personality do you think schedules a debate in the future with Billy Carson and then in their contracts says, I don't want you talking to any other person about Christian topics.
No, it makes no
or
sense.
I'm going to sue you. You're infringing on our contract.
Right.
Who would do that? There's no freaking way.
No.
And this guy's been talking, allegedly, Billy's been talking about Christian stuff with other people in the interim as well. So like, who does he get to talk to and not talk to? You know what I mean? So either one, release that contract and the name of the person that made you sign that, or two, redo the debate. And you'd probably have to do it after you talk to this other guy if there really is a contract in place,
Right.
But all that to say that it was made public because people downloaded it before it vanished entirely off the internets, right? And it started leaking. People started posting it here and there. It would get taken down, but people would keep downloading it and it kept freaking spreading. Ruslan showed clips of it. He talked about it. Other Christians started picking it up. They started talking about it. Now I've got that one guy that was on the show before, Beck Lover. He was talking about it this morning.
Really?
Yes, because he hates Billy as well. Because he's very, he knows that he's full of BS. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's not even Christian. He's freaking Muslim. And Billy does not attack any other religion other than Christianity.
Right. Yeah, even J Clash did a good respond video to it. It was long, but he went, he did the whole video. It was pretty good.
Yeah. That's actually the one that I downloaded and then cropped down to size so that we can just see the debate. You know what I'm saying?
Cool. Should we get into it?
Let's get into it. And again, these are all just opinions, allegedly, of course. So let's pull up the first one.
Is God male, that one?
No, Christ wasn't crucified. This is one of Billy's primary lies, is that Jesus was not crucified and that he was potentially married. Okay. He's been saying this. Can you full screen that, Dennis? He's been saying this for years on the largest podcasts on the planet, that Christ wasn't crucified.
If you want to, I guess.
Can you turn it down a little bit?
Turn it down?
Yeah, it's pretty loud.
Really loud.
Let's go first, Billy, to how you came about the findings where it seems that Jesus was not crucified, or that's not accurate.
Sure. And in my videos, and if you listen to the podcast, the statement is according to the Sinai Bible. Okay. According to the Sinai Bible, Jesus wasn't crucified in that Bible. And that Bible predates the King James Version of the Bible. And the the text there actually is about.
Come on.
Dude, how are we going to do it so that we could like, I'm going to go like this. Actually, I'll just say pause it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Don't do that.
No
hand
hand
movement.
signals. Like, I'm going to throw up gang signs over here. Okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
good.
so right off the bat, his whole argument's about the Sinai Bible. And he says that it predates the King James version. Bro, the King James version came out in like 1550. Like,
do we know when the Sinai came out?
I think it was around 400 something.
Okay.
Okay, but what I'm saying is there's a ton of Bible not even translations, but of codices, which is like a compilation of scripture and manuscripts. There's a ton before the King James version. There's the Vulgate, which is like 800 or 1400, the Latin Vulgate, something like that. I think it's 800. So he's saying that, hey, the Sinai Bible came out before the King James version. The King James version is like one of the freaking, like, it's just a translation. It's not even one of the codices. But what he's talking about when he says Sinai Bible is, as Wesley's going to correct him, it's Codex Sinaitica, which is a compilation of manuscripts. Okay, go on.
Hey, before we go on, someone asked about the hoodies. Why we have black hoodies on?
Why?
Yeah, is it because it's the allegedly?
Allegedly, we have black hoodies on.
Yeah, no rhyme or reason, but go get your black hoodie on.
Not at all. Yeah, if you have a black hoodie at home and you're not wearing it,
yeah, shame on you. All right, let's go.
12 to 14,000 differences between the Sinai Bible and the King James version of the Bible, which came much later. And then also one of the things that were interesting is that they discovered the book of Jesus' wife, which is at the Harvard Seminary, which according to some scholars, it's a little controversial, but they claim that this is an accurate record that Jesus may have even been married, which then, adds more, if that's true, it adds more to the hypothesis that maybe he wasn't crucified. I just personally believe that Jesus was an amazing human being. I don't think that he was the Son of God in the sense that he's God, but that we're all gods. As he said, ye are gods, and that we're to do greater things in him. And I just personally believe that the return of the Christ is the return of the Christ consciousness. When we can all achieve a certain level of knowledge, wisdom, passion, understanding, empathy, love that he came to this planet with, and we get that in our mind and our conscience, and we can act on that those incredible emotions and that understanding, that the whole world is going to transform instantaneously. And I think at the second coming is the coming of the Christ consciousness to the planet, not a human being flying back to Earth to save people.
I really appreciate the fact that
so like I said, I took out a lot of Mark's commentary, because we want to hear Wesley and Billy. No disrespect to Mark or anything like that, right? Like, thank God for him doing this. There's actually, it's pretty sad. There's actually some of the Christians that are like bringing this up they're kind of like going hard on Mark, and are just like, dude, Mark, shut up, stop talking, like let them debate, and just kind of being jerks about it. Mark is hanging out with his friend, and at the last minute, Wesley shows up on their freaking podcast. Mark wasn't ready to like host a freaking revolutionary debate. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what he's doing here. So cut the guy some slack and just be grateful that like he did this. Don't go bad on Mark over anything.
Right.
So if you guys see cuts, it's because I took out commentary that basically is just gonna add an extra like half hour to the conversation, so anyway, there it was. Billy is all about Christ consciousness. Jesus was not the Son of God. Jesus is just an enlightened human. He's a great man. He's basically something that we can achieve, right? Hit it. And now comes Wesley.
You seem to have investigated to a certain degree some of these facts. Do you mind if I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
When you say the Sinai Bible, what are you referring to specifically?
It's the biblical text that was written. It made it into you can actually look it up on Amazon. It's a Bible called, I have a version at home. It's called the Sinai Bible, right, from Mount Sinai. I'm assuming it's the mountain that they're referencing there. But they put together their own version of the biblical text prior to the King James Version being put out.
Sure. So when you refer to the Sinai Bible, would you be referring to Codex Sinaiticus? Like the codex that comes? Okay. That's why I was trying to get some clarification, because so you can actually go and see Codex Sinaiticus is at the British Library. So you can go and see it. It's on display. And the British Library has actually digitized the entire manuscript. So I work with manuscripts in my linguistic work. I'm an expert on early Christian scribal culture, and particularly in Greek and Coptic manuscripts. I actually have a facsimile.
Dude, what a savage.
I know.
He's just like, I'm an expert in scribal whatever. What the heck is that? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I think Wes is a robot for sure, dude.
But it makes this, like this is the product of being an expert in scribal whatever he just said.
Well, he's basically saying, "Oh, this is where you said it." Well, I have it right here. I have a copy of it right here.
Dude, what a
I never read
boss.
this. I know.
What a boss move to be like, I have it right here.
Right.
Yeah.
And where did you say it was again?
Yeah, exactly.
Similarly, so I have a photocopy that was done by the British Library of Codex Sinaiticus that I work with in my office. So I have it here, and the only reason I asked for clarification is because I want to make sure that what I'm addressing is actually what you mean.
Gotcha.
And not addressing something else. Because the Codex Sinaiticus in particular is just a Greek, it's a 4th century Greek manuscript.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from approximately between 325 and 350 AD. And its text of the Gospels reads almost identical to the modern Greek text that we develop translations from. So my curiosity is just simply in kind of exploring when you say that it denies the crucifixion or that the crucifixion isn't there. I mean, I can go on right now, Codex Sinaiticus, and I can look up
Pause it.
the end of, say,
Dennis, turn everything on your computer off. Technical difficulties.
Everything. All I have
thanks
is
to the usual Dennis.
No, all I have is the browser up with the tabs. That's all. I have nothing else. And weird. I restarted my computer too. I have nothing going on here.
I wonder why it's said that.
To the low browser storage, free up browser storage, and rejoin. Scheiße. How to free up space? Let's see.
It's okay. I think we could.
Are we still
probably live? I think we're still live. It looks like it on the back end. So let's just keep
going. Guys, are we still live?
Oh yeah, let us know in the comments if we're still live, because we got an error saying that it's not being recorded or something like that. Oh my God!
I like some.
You've been talking to all these people.
I've been trying to. They're great.
Wow.
I like. They're my friends. I made new friends tonight. Thank you, guys. I need more friends. If you guys live in the Jacksonville, Florida area,
I think we're still good. I think let's keep going with the video.
All right.
And they'll let us know if we're still live or not.
I can't get that. Like, oh yeah, I can. Okay. Let us know. Yes, we're live. Okay, cool. Thank you, voice.
Thank you, guys.
All right, let's keep going.
Matthew 27, where it has Jesus being crucified, and that's in Codex Sinaiticus, or the John 19, or any of the other ones. So
I love how Billy gets his phone.
Yeah, he's like, ChatGPT.
My confusion is that it doesn't read any differently. So actually, are you able to pull up a website with the viewers or listeners or whatever?
Wes is so nice.
The version that I'm looking at. I found the text where
he's so nice the whole time. He's like
very polite,
very respectful. He's like, but can you show me something? Like, I'm really curious. I'm you could hear the genuine. Look at his face right now. That's crazy.
Right. I was referencing, actually, I was misquoted. I misquoted there. It's the Gospel of Barnabas.
Okay. So I kind of like paused it right at the worst time because what he just said, Ben, take deep breaths. Don't be mad at me. Okay. So what happened was he just basically said, "Oh, I totally misquoted." So after Wes the whole time was like, "Wait a second, I have a copy of what you're saying,
Yep.
right here, and I can't find that anywhere. Can you show me? Or can you show me a
Yep.
video? Can you tell me something like where I can find it?" Because he genuinely wants to figure it out. And then Billy's like, I misquoted it. It was from the what was it, from Barnabas,
Gospel of Barnabas, bro.
which I've
Now-
never heard of until now.
Listen, there's a lot. This is the thing. Billy Carson's a Gnostic. His show is called Forbidden Knowledge.
Thanks to
Gnostics.
Luca.
What?
They said Dennis is literally the menace.
Oh my gosh. You're a genius, bro.
Oh man,
Dude, our fans are connecting dots. You're right. You are. Dennis is the menace. Thank you for that. Oh my gosh. I'm just Bennis. I'm Bennis. You're the menace. This is great.
that's right.
Hey, so the Gospel of Barnabas, he's gonna go into it right now. But the thing is, Wes has a compilation on his, I believe, YouTube or Instagram of at least 10 videos where over the past several years on the largest podcast in the world, where Billy is allegedly going off on how Christ isn't crucified according to the Sinai Bible.
Right.
So what are you going to do now to fix it? How are you going to go back onto all of those shows and be like, JK, LOL, I misspoke. It's the Gospel of Barnabas. And you'll see what happens right now regarding the Gospel of Barnabas.
Yeah.
So
Let's
hit
get
it.
into it.
Okay, yeah. Well, so that's good. So let's deal with that too, because I've actually worked with. There are two manuscripts of the Gospel of Barnabas. The Gospel of Barnabas is a really interesting document because it is a known forgery, and so that's why I think it's important to get to these sources. So, at the very start of the Gospel of Barnabas, which we only have two copies of, one is in Italian and one is in Spanish.
Billy's just
We see right off the bat that the Gospel of Barnabas, not to be confused with either the Epistle of Barnabas or the Acts of Barnabas, which are two apocryphal documents from the 2nd century. But the Gospel of Barnabas in particular, we know it's a forgery because it does things like in chapter 92, it says that Jesus spent 40 days on Mount Sinai, and then he came to the Jordan River and he walked to Jerusalem. But Mount Sinai is more than a week's journey away from Jerusalem, and neither Mount Sinai nor Jerusalem are close to the Jordan River. So never mind there not being a route from the Jordan River to like around Mount Sinai or going to Jerusalem. But there are internal problems with the Gospel of Barnabas, which indicate that it shows no actual indication of evidence of coming from or even having knowledge of 1st century Jewish understanding. It actually says Jesus is the Christ, but not the Messiah, which indicates that whoever the author is, he didn't know that those were the same words. And I think a bigger problem is that the Gospel of Barnabas actually paraphrases Dante's Inferno, which was written in 1314. So there's a lot of internal evidences that disqualify the Gospel of Barnabas, never mind the fact that we don't have any evidence of it prior to the 14th century, and none in any other language other than Middle Age Italian Italian and Spanish. But the internal content of the Gospel of Barnabas disqualifies it from being ancient. And then the fact that it's doing things like paraphrasing Dante, or it also refers to a rule of the time of Jubilee, which was changed in the Middle Ages from what it was in the biblical year of Jubilee. And it goes with the Middle Ages concept, not the ancient concept. So I think what I'm getting at is, so I'm a historian, and I deal with sources. So when I'm looking at sources, I want to make sure that I have a methodology by which I approach any type of source. So if there is something that denies the crucifixion, I want to make sure that I'm analyzing it and that the methodology by which I analyze it actually reveals that the content can be accurately tied to the event. So if we're talking about, say, Codex Sinaiticus, that's in the 4th century. Now that is, I would agree with you, Billy, our oldest copy of the Bible in the sense of cover to cover, Genesis to Revelation copy of the Bible.
Right.
The problem is that we have individual copies of all 4 Gospels going back hundreds of years before Codex Sinaiticus. So I have a facsimile behind me of P66. This is a late 2nd century copy of the Gospel of John. I work with this particular manuscript. I can just show the screen right here. This is an almost complete copy of the Gospel of John.
I think that whole book
is that the papyrus by any chance?
Yeah, so papyrus is just the what it's made out of. So
material it's on.
I got that from Chat GPT, by the way. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to sound smart for a second.
The only hesitation I have with what you.
Hey, I love Mark, but that's why I take out a lot of the stuff. You know what I mean from the conversation. But whoops, Barnabas is a known forgery.
Sorry,
Dennis, you're the worst.
I'm talking to the people that are on the live. They're my new friends.
Okay, fine. Hey,
Jay Lucas just said a Gospel of Barnabas. So good.
Hey, you got to send him your hat.
Yeah, you'll get the gray hat.
Beautiful.
But yeah, I know it's a forgery. It's forgery.
There you go. Good job, Dennis. But it's a known forgery. Literally, all you have to do is Google this. So for years, this guy's been freaking touting that Christ wasn't crucified based on a known forgery.
Do you think he knows
even
that?
Google it.
Do you think he knows that? Because listen, man, he's a smart guy. He's
very smart.
He's well spoken. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's calm. He raised a lot of money, right? He's got a lot of stuff going on. He talks on the biggest podcasts in the world. You know, he's got to know these things, man. Like that to me was the biggest takeaway of this whole thing. I was like, dude, how did he not know all this stuff?
Listen, if you hear him, he'll talk about how he's got a certificate from Harvard. He's got a certificate from MIT. The guy Anton that we spoke about earlier goes into his like background educationally. Those are free classes anybody could take online.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he doesn't have any kind of academic, allegedly. Wow. He doesn't have any kind of like academic backing from MIT or Harvard. He just took some like random online class, allegedly, and got like printed out a freaking certificate of completion, basically equivalent to a Sunday school like sticker board. You know what I'm saying? Right. But anyway, you're right, Dennis. Does he know that this is a forgery, or does he not know? Because he says he has spent decades researching what he talks about. So in those decades of research, did you Google like the manuscripts that you're speaking out of? You know what I mean? So either lying or ignorant, right? But then he's lying about his knowledge.
Yeah, and I mean, or you know, I don't know, because he does have this. He does have like a deep bench of like knowledge. It's just wrong. It's like all of it's just wrong. But it's a lot of it. It's weird.
He's very well spoken. He's very articulate. It's almost like a politician. He reminds me of Obama, not for any other reason than that he's like well spoken. You know, that's it. That's racist! Oh, come on, man. Who did that? Hey, but you know what I'm talking about? You know how Obama's like super well spoken and everybody believed anything he said because he's so articulate? Yeah. So he weaves together like a bunch of puzzle pieces. He puts together this narrative and he can just recite it on cue perfectly. And he could draw from this source and this source and this source and weave this tapestry together of lies, you know? Anywho, hit it.
Let me keep going.
Said Billy, is that we have single copies of the Gospels that can be dated to the 2nd century that all do have the crucifixion. And so if we're relying on something like the Gospel of Barnabas, which is not just like, it's not that there's debate about it, it's that it's a known forgery. I mean, no one's referring to the Gospel of Barnabas as anything other than...
If you say it's a known forgery, yes, but I'm going to go with that. Let's talk about the Old Testament a little bit, leading up into the New Testament.
Well, hold on, because do you mind if I...
Bro, that's it?
I know. Like he just, that's what he just wanted to do the whole time though. He just wanted to keep going on. Like,
No. Like you don't have a rebuttal to a guy that's like, oh, what you're saying is a forgery. Yeah. And you're just like, okay, if you say so, and go on. Like, that's it. All anybody had to do was say it's fake. And you're like, okay, my bad.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
Like, I mean, what is he going to say? I mean, he's got nothing to say though, but he's got nothing to say.
But give me something. Be like, oh, sorry, I didn't know.
Or he should say, no, it's not a known forgery.
Yeah, according to such and such researcher, they don't think it's a forgery. Like, give me something. Give me you something. Can't just, like, I could have ran into freaking Billy on the street and been like, oh, dude, you know Barnabas is a known forgery? Why do you keep quoting that? And do you think he would have been like, oh, dude, if you say so? And then, like, that's it? I don't know, man. This is why his response right there leads me to believe that he knew that it was fake. You know what I mean? Otherwise, defend yourself.
Yeah, true. That's a great point, Ben. Great point. Keep going.
Hit it.
Address the gospel of Jesus' wife.
Sure, go ahead.
But what was her name again? I'm like trying to write notes like I know what I'm doing, but I'm just curious.
So the gospel of Jesus' wife doesn't actually mention. So oftentimes what happens is that the text of the gospel of Jesus' wife is kind of paralleled with the gospel of Philip, which mentions that that Jesus would kiss Mary Magdalene on the mouth. And so those are kind of used in parallel to kind of for this argument that Jesus was married. So the gospel of Jesus' wife is in the Harvard Library. However, the reason we know it's also not legitimate is because even though the manuscript, the papyrus that it's on, was carbon dated to the 4th century, the text was actually copied from a PDF version of the Gospel of Thomas known as Grandin's Interlinear. And there was a mistake in the Coptic text of Grandin's Interlinear that was copied into the Gospel of Jesus' wife. So we know that this is not a legitimate document, even though the papyrus is ancient, and this happens a lot with forgeries. I have a couple of friends who have actually worked on projects that have revealed forgeries within Dead Sea Scroll manuscripts and within other ancient Christian papyri. But the reason why we know the Gospel of Jesus' wife, and that Karen King, who kind of vouched for it and she lost a lot of credibility, unfortunately, for her, and she's admitted that it's a fake as well, was because we can tie it directly to not copying from an ancient text, but actually copying from an online version of the Gospel of Thomas in a PDF form. And the mistake on that PDF form was copied into the text that was borrowed in the phraseology of Jesus' wife. So I just point that out is, once again, with our sourcing, I think we need to make sure that we're going towards not just early.
Dude, so the Gospel of Jesus' wife, to reiterate, there's this thing called the Gospel of Thomas, okay? Which I believe is also a Gnostic gospel. One that didn't make it in the Bible because it's whack, right?
Right.
Now, they transcribed it, the Gospel of Thomas, they transcribed it into a PDF. And in that PDF, there was an error that was made. The Gospel of Jesus' wife is a copy of that PDF because that same error is in the Gospel of Jesus' wife. You see what I mean? Right. So how does he not know this?
Exactly.
The chick, Karen King from Harvard, his alma mater, right? Right? Where you took your freaking certificate course, your sticker course.
They were both online, probably.
Yeah, bro. Dude, that chick lost credibility. She vouched for it. It came out that it was fake. Her career basically got ruined. He doesn't know this. Like, both things that he's staking his claims on about Christ not being crucified and Christ surviving and getting married, both of them are forgeries. How do you not know this?
Yeah.
But you run a multi-million, tens and tens of $1 million enterprise. Like, I don't get it.
Makes no sense to me either. I know. And how is he on the biggest podcast everywhere? But because nobody questions it. Nobody digs. Yeah, there's no pushback.
He's so freaking, like, he's so good at weaving this narrative. You know what I mean?
He's got so much information that's just false, but that's a lot of it, you know?
Yes,
and then it overwhelms people and they're like, oh man, this guy really knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. Hit it.
Sources, but actually credible sources. And unfortunately, neither the Gospel of Barnabas nor the Gospel of Jesus' wife are credible sources in terms of actually and agreed upon by not just the vast majority of scholarship, but I don't know anybody in the field of papyrology, paleography, historiography who actually refers to these documents as legitimate.
That's fair enough. I can respect that.
I've listened to a fair amount of your content.
What?
And
Pause
I'm
it.
unaware of.
I can respect that. Bro, you got to have some kind of rebuttal, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, something.
Hey, Jesus wasn't crucified. 2,000 years of human history and billions upon billions of people that what you believe, oh, it's fake. I'm telling you, it's fake. Yeah. My sources are false. Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Still,
like,
it's
give
still
me
fake.
something.
And it's still fake.
And even Wesley's like, not a single scholar that I know believes these.
You know what it reminds me of? Not to get political, but it reminds me of like just Democrats. Like, I mean, and like the media.
If anybody leaves, if any of our 5 live watchers right now leave, we know who you are.
No, listen.
We know who you
but
voted
like,
for.
You know what I mean? No, not only that. Or there's
How dare you?
You know what it is? It's just like the media. It's like all this, like the truth comes out later, or even like the the stuff with the jab and this other stuff that came out later, immigration. They're like, oh yeah, well that's not what we said, or it's or like we never said to stay 6 feet apart.
Right.
We never said, like, wait, what? I remember you did.
Try to maintain some kind of plausible deniability.
Yeah, they just deny it,
or they move on.
Right, but
the problem is what he keeps doing.
Right, but the problem, right, exactly. But the problem is also like it's the people. Like they just like bend over and they're like, oh yeah, okay, well, okay.
If you say so.
Yeah, and they just what's next, right? What's the next distraction, right?
Hit it.
The methods that you use to try to discern between what is an accurate source historiographically and an inaccurate source historiographically.
Well, I
Does that make sense?
use getting in an airplane and traveling to these places, doing my own research, talking with indigenous cultures, and researching as much of the text that is available that I can possibly find.
Pause it.
Okay. So I don't.
Except for with the Gospel of Barnabas and the Gospel of Jesus' life, you didn't do any of those, right?
He didn't do any of that.
You didn't do any of that.
Right.
Did you get on a plane and go talk to anybody about them? Probably not, because they would have told you they're known forgeries.
Right.
So there's that. Hit it.
I don't dispute that. And I do believe you have done that. But I mean, even from what we've talked about, so you've researched the text, but when we talked about the crucifixion, everything you cited was either, and I mean with all due respect, false in terms of the Sinai Bible, because Sinaiticus is just a 4th century Greek manuscript of the Gospels that we have today, or they were verified forgeries in terms of the Gospel of Jesus' wife.
You might be right. You may be right on that particular part of the topic, but like I said, that's less than 0.1% of the information that I hold.
Sure, but that was the original question. So yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, okay, well, so I'm going off of what we've already talked about. So you said you explore the text. I don't deny that. But the evidence, by going off of what you have put forward in terms of the actual documentary evidence, is not just less than convincing in my respect. And I mean this with respect, because I think you have done a lot of research. You've traveled to these places. I have too. Like, this is what I do as my career. But I'm not really getting indication, because in history, we go to the primary sources in their primary languages. And when Mark asked, okay, why do you deny the crucifixion? The sources you used were not primary.
Okay, we're still talking about the same thing over and over again. There's so much more we can talk about here. We're wasting a lot of time.
He just wants to move on.
There's so much more. That's this amount.
Do you guys
so much more stuff to talk about?
Pause it real quick. Oh, that was it. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, so that portion right there where Wes is pressing him on, hey, how are you analyzing the manuscripts that you're basing your claims on? Like, what methodology are you using? That portion there is from the end of the interview, because that's the frequent question. Hey, you're making claims based on things that we have like historic and paper evidence of, right? So when you're looking at that evidence, these aren't just stories that were passed down orally for the past 2,000 years. There's a trail of receipts in the manuscripts
Right.
that we could just look at and realize what was going on or what was said or what was believed back then, right? So he's like, what methodology are you using? He keeps hitting that at the end of the debate, okay? But I put that on the front end because it goes it goes hand in hand with what they're talking about right there regarding the gospel of Barnabas, gospel of Jesus' wife. But Billy didn't want to talk about any of the Jesus stuff anymore. He wanted to move on to some of his other pyramid stuff, world before a flood stuff, which listen, I'm all about. You know me. That's why I like some of Billy's stuff, because I actually do think that there was an advanced civilization before the flood. I do believe that the pyramids were built by an advanced race of giants and fallen angels and stuff. I believe that stuff. And he says something similar, right?
Right.
But for some reason, he always deviates from that and ends up talking crap on Jesus, Christians, crucifixion, etc. And he uses faulty sources, fraudulent sources to make those claims. So that's why we're doing what we're doing here. We're not, dude, I'm not just like trying to pile on, right? And talk crap on Billy Carson. We should be praying for the guy. We should hope that he like has a come to Jesus moment through all this. This guy's world might be falling apart right now. We don't know what's going on, right? Or this might just blow right freaking over because he doesn't care. Why would he care what the Christian community thinks about him? He's already talking crap about us all the time, right?
Right. Yeah.
So he might just not care. And if you look online in the comments on some of these videos, whether they're reactionary videos or even Mark's original post, people are like, "Oh, that wasn't even a debate. It was just a conversation." They're trying to make excuses to defend Billy, even though he's been shown, and through this debate, that what he says is not real. It's not true. It's a fantasy, right? So that's why we're doing this. This needs to be brought to light, and whatever happens with it, God's will be done. Okay, but it doesn't mean we just like sweep things under the rugs and move on. We should do our part in either sharing this kind of information, because this guy has an effect on people's lives, man. You know what I'm saying? He genuinely does. Even that guy, Anton, that we mentioned earlier, the guy he worked with, he said Billy led him astray. He led him into a bunch of that new age crap, right? And now Anton's come back to faith. And he says he feels like God, I wish we could get him on. Maybe I reached out to him earlier. Hopefully he gets back to us at some point. He says that he thinks God had him working with Billy and around Billy and in his community for the very reason of in the future being able to expose all this stuff.
Yeah.
Dude,
that
fascinating.
Makes sense.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Let's do another video.
Next. So this is the next portion of their conversation.
They all got mixed up on my end. So which one's next? Is the copy? The Bible's copied?
Bible's copied.
God is a male.
Yeah. Bible's copied. So after they talked about fraudulent sources regarding Christ's crucifixion never happening, the next thing he brings up, and he just keeps trying to do this. He keeps trying to move on. So the next thing he moves on to is, but the Bible's not even real. It's not even the original. It's a copy. They copied from a bunch of other stuff that was earlier. And that last thing, real quick, Dennis, this is another thing. He's supposed to be, oh my gosh, this is why I think he's lying. Okay. I think he knows these things and he's hiding them. He's supposed to be an expert in the manuscripts of the Sumerians, where the Anunnaki are described and the galaxy they come from and all of this like ancient wisdom. He says that that's his field of expertise, allegedly says that that's his field of expertise. He also has a book on something called the Tablets of Thoth, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. He has a book on it, okay? Wesley tears that up. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth aren't even real. Some guy in like the 20s who was an archaeologist went to Egypt, came out, said, "Hey, I found these emerald tablets of Thoth and I interpreted them, and here's what they said." Never produced a single tablet, No evidence that they ever existed. Just his narrative on the
Wow.
tablets,
No way, dude.
which is what he writes a book about. And says, I'm an expert on the emerald tablets of Thoth.
Dude, I
You know
want
what I
to do
mean?
that.
Dude, it sounds like some Joseph Smith shit. You know,
Right.
like he finds some tablets in a freaking cave and only he could read them with special glasses and underwear. That's Billy Carson. That's Billy Carson.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And
All right, let's move on before we get in trouble. Let's go.
bro, you can't
So
censor
let's
me.
go into the Old Testament a
Calm
little
down.
bit.
I would never censor you.
Predominantly from my research, I discovered that a lot of information from the Enuma Elish and the 7 tablets of creation is a lot of the, in Genesis, a lot of the creation story that comes into Genesis. Not all of it, but because obviously it's a smaller, Genesis is a much smaller version of a much bigger story. But
says a
it's
lot of
literally almost word for word from the Enuma Elish
A lot of it
and
is
the 7
almost word
tablets
for
of
word.
creation. The Epic of Atrahasis as well is also there in the Old Testament. Several other tablets as well, Code upon Hammurabi and a few others have made it into that text. Sumerian cylinder scrolls that talk about the creation story. Again, the creation story in the Epic of Atrahasis. And so we tend to see this this copying of ancient tablets, text, and scriptures, even some papyruses, into the biblical text. Meaning that my point here is that I think a lot of people are saying that this information was written in real time. A lot of people believe that. If you ask the average person, they really believe that. But a lot of this information is just copied from older tablets and texts from an earlier date. That's what I have found, that it's made it into the canonized Bible, but they never reference that they got it from any other ancient texts and tablets that have to do with a totally different civilization with totally different religious beliefs.
I'm just curious, when you say that there are not just parallels, but there's actual copying, looking at Genesis chapter 1 and 2, where the creation story is summarized in the Bible,
best.
what are the actual kind of parallels there that you're looking to? Because as someone who's read both, I not only do I not find parallels, I actually, and this is the majority of ancient Near Eastern scholarship with me, think that Genesis chapter 1 is actually an apologetic against documents like the Enuma Elish. So what are the parallels there?
Separated the waters from the waters, for example. That's in the Enuma Elish, and that's also in the biblical text.
Look at Wesley's face.
Okay, that I would agree is a parallel. The only reason I highlight that is that if you're going,
he's trying not to like bust out laughing.
Dude, that's it. Separated the waters from the waters. He started by saying that there's a ton of verbatim, word for word copying of more ancient manuscripts or books, you know, from other religions and cultures. And he's like, what are they? Separated the waters from the waters.
That was it. That's it.
That's
it. He couldn't go into anything else.
There's nothing else. How fascinating. And Billy is willfully ignorant at this point, probably, right? We can say, because listen, he's obviously not keeping up with the latest like scholastic discoveries and teaching on the Bible and manuscript. He's not, right? Dennis, even from Heiser, what do we know from, why are you laughing? What's in the comments?
That they're just telling us to go wash our mouth out with soap.
I'm sorry.
They're blaming me for it.
You guys know it's true, right? Okay. Hold on. Hey, even from Heiser, we know one of the things that we learned in Unseen Realm. If you guys haven't read Unseen Realm, go check out Unseen Realm. Fascinating. Like Wesley just said, it's on, what did he say? It's an apologetic. Genesis is an apologetic against other religions. It's a polemic, Dennis.
Oh.
You like?
I love.
Do you guys remember all the times we talked about polemic on this show? So basically what he's saying is that Genesis uses terms and phrases and concepts that were known and borrowed from the surrounding nations because the people of Israel knew what those nations believed, knew who their gods were, knew what their practices were, knew what their ceremonies were, knew how they worshiped. And so Genesis is written borrowing those concepts, but correcting them unto Yahweh's glory and truth. That's
so
an
cool.
apologetic against those surrounding nations. And that's what he just said. That's what Wes just said, is that, hey, it's pretty accepted in scholarship that Genesis is an apologetic against these surrounding nations.
Right.
Billy has no idea. He thinks that just because the Illuma Inish or whatever in the Indian texts, okay, because that has the phrase waters, the waters separated from the waters. And then the Bible takes, and Genesis, Moses writes, God separated the waters from the waters. He thinks that that means Moses saw the Enula Elish in India and wrote it into the freaking Genesis, like hoping nobody would ever catch on. You know what I mean? But it's the opposite. He's taking the Indian story from the Enuma Elish, and he's saying creation was done by God, Yahweh, the one and only, our God. So he separated the waters from the waters. He did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, hit it.
You're making this the argument, because if you brought it up, and I mean this with all due respect, there are superficial parallels. I would agree. You know, the separation of the water, the concept of the earth being formless and void. That's also in the Enuma Elish. However, I think all the other details, you know, it isn't the
dude, Wesley helps.
It's the details that make the difference. And if we're looking at not the superficial crossovers, but the actual themes and concepts of what it's saying, you don't have a creation within 7 days.
The Bible's not going to take the Enuma Elish and put it into the biblical text. There are certain words that they utilize that let me know that they copied it from that text. Like, for example,
so what words?
Separating the water from the waters, the void, the earth being void. That information is literally just copied over. So it tells you that somebody saw that and said, let me add it to this book right here, or let me add it to this scripture or this papyrus, because it wasn't a book yet at that time.
Let me just say this. So the reason why I say it's actually an apologetic against that is because the purpose of the Enuma Elish, which the Babylonians read every Babylonian New Year, was to point out the fact that the deities, and there's countless deities in the Babylonian pantheon, they actually come from the created order. So they're not outside of time and space. They actually come from the created order. And when they die in this battle, right, when Tiamat is defeated, the defeated gods become the earth and the sky and the plants and even you and me. And in that sense, the theme is that you don't actually have any purpose or end result, and you're not created in the image of God. In fact, in the ancient Babylonian system, only the kings were created in the image of God. And what we see that is counter to that is that even, sure, there's superficial, you know, divided the waters, but we find that in almost every society and culture. That's not a parallel as much as it's just a generality. I would say what we see within the biblical account is that God purposefully creates. There's only one God. He purposefully creates, and then he creates, and it's good. And it continues to say it's good 7 times. And then at the end of chapter 1, just for, you know, the thick people in the original audience, it says, and then it was very good. And then he creates humanity, not kings, but simply the humans that he creates in God's image. And they have purpose and meaning, and that instills them with this creation order. And that's not what we find in the Enuma Elish. In fact, we find the opposite in the Enuma Elish, is that the created order is not good. It's a mistake. And that you are not created in the image of God. And there's a reminder that regular people are not created in the image of God. So linguistically, I mean, Hebrew does have Semitic ties with Akkadian. Doesn't with Sumerian. Sumerian is a language isolate, a glutenizing language. But
So smart.
I would say, just with all due respect, the parallels linguistically are not there. There might be superficial kind of concepts that are there, but they're so superficial that we can find them in everything. In the sense of, I'm in my office studio, you're in your office studio. That doesn't mean that, you know, that we're the same people or we're even in the same place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't agree with that. I just see if I have all these texts out, there's a lot of different information that you can see this. A lot of it's been copied word for word into the biblical text. But
what's the word
in the
for word?
in your version of,
I've read a lot of the literature that you're talking about, Billy. The Numa Lish, the Atrasis, the Bhagavad Gita, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and I've read some of them in their original languages because I've tried to be a good historian and go back into the primary sources. Or if I can't, engage with people like my friends who are Assyriologists, who are philologists, and try to not just go off of a translation, but the original. And I think I found largely the opposite of the conclusions that you have made, Billy. And I know that you are very passionate about what you talk about, and I respect that. I just think that the confidence might not actually be backed up by the reality of the evidence. So when we're looking at something like the Sinai Bible, when we're looking at something like the Gospel of Barnabas, when we're looking at something like the Gospel of Jesus' wife, these are things that actually have provenance that we can verify. And ultimately, I think the answers to the questions of the legitimacy or the illegitimacy of those things point to not just a different conclusion, but actually the opposite conclusion, and that Christianity is true.
Dang, bro.
Yeah, so good.
Freaking solid.
This is so good.
Again, I cropped a little piece that was relevant onto the back end there. Otherwise, it's just like going to be a 3-minute clip that we would respond to. But again, he made such a great analogy where he's like, hey, there's superficial similarities, right? You're in your studio, you're in your office studio, I'm in my office studio. So if we both wrote down today's events and said, in separate places in the world, right? I was in my office studio. You write down that you were in your office studio. And in 1,000 years, 2,000 years from now, somebody finds our books, our biographies. And it's like, oh my God, it says he was in this office studio. Oh my God, this one says he was in his office studio too. Somebody copied. Somebody copied. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The idea of waters being separated, and even what he said earlier about formless and void, okay? Those were common concepts. Not, dude, the Jews, the Israelites, Moses, he did not originate the creation story. There's details that are novel in our Bible, but the idea of a God creating, of waters being separated, okay, of things coming from nothing, those are not novel ideas. Like the Egyptians believe stuff like that. The Babylonians believe stuff like that. The Indians believe stuff that, you know what I'm saying? So just because they use a couple similar phrases, which were known phrases, okay, in that territory, doesn't mean that it was copied.
Right.
It just means it was understood. And so that's why he uses those terminology or that terminology. But again, Billy, nothing. He's just like, oh, I don't believe you.
I disagree.
I disagree. Based on what? Like, based on what? All you say is like, I disagree, or, okay, if you say so, I'm going to go with that. You know, I mean, I'm not trying to, you know.
Yeah.
That's racist!
Let's go.
I'm trying to do imitation, right? This is comedy. We're doing comedy here, allegedly.
Allegedly comedy. Let's do, is God male?
This was the next one after the Bible was copied.
Right. So
and dude, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that say that the Bible is not even original. It was a copy. This is the kind of influence Billy Carson has. Is he leads people to make statements like that and have ideas in their brain that we should disregard the Bible because it's not even original. It's a copy. Look, waters from waters.
Yeah. I know, and then they throw it all out, right?
They throw it all out.
It's crazy, man.
Jesus didn't even get crucified. How do you, based on what? Oh, Billy Carson said. Based on what?
I heard it on an Instagram video. Yeah, a 15-second
fraudulent document.
Right.
So I'm so angry.
In your version of
turn it down.
What you believe in,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
You keep saying that God's a he.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so where do you get that from?
Well, throughout both the Hebrew Old Testament and the Greek New Testament, you have the masculine singular pronoun used for God.
And why is God a man? Where's the evidence of this?
Well, God isn't a man. See, within historical Christianity, we don't believe that God has a gender. However, the way that he has decided to reveal himself is through the masculine plural, and then ultimately by becoming a human in the person of Jesus Christ. So we don't believe that God has a gender. In fact, the fact that God creates humanity in his image and he creates them male and female, those are two aspects of the image of God. And so that's the completeness. So historical Christianity has never argued that God is gendered. Jesus is gendered in the sense that during the incarnation, he becomes a human man, but he's still fully man and fully God. But God is spirit. And right, as the scripture says, we worship him in spirit and in truth.
And God is
but nobody's arguing that. What's that? Sorry?
That always blows my mind.
God is the same all the time, right? He's always good. God is all the same all the time, right?
But we do see that.
Do you see how superficial Billy's knowledge is on these concepts?
Yeah, my 13-year-old daughter is just like, it has better questions than he. That was just such a dumb question. Like,
why is God a man?
Yeah, where are you getting that from?
Who, me?
No, that's what he's saying. He asked, like, where are you getting that from? You know.
Well, listen. Why is God a man? And then, but isn't God the same always?
Yeah.
Like it's as if Billy heard people talking in a bar, like overheard Christian concepts being discussed, right. and now he's like regurgitating those words without understanding the concept at all. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Do you think that part of the problem is that, you know, or the way he looks at things, or maybe not him, but just, or everybody in this space that decided to reject, are they looking at it from like, oh, we have so many different sources, your only source is the Bible? You know, because like when he asked that question, you know, is God a man and why is he a man? All this stuff. And you know, where'd you get that from? He's like, where'd you get that from? Well, it's the Bible. And so Wes keeps going back to the Bible, right? Which he should. And I understand why Wes is doing that. That's the whole thing. I mean, we have more copies of it. We have, right. they're verified, all this stuff. So it makes sense what his answer is. But I think like, I think that's what Billy's doing. He's like, well, what other sources do you have? Like, where else are you getting this from? Right? Maybe, or is this just your opinion, or is this what, you know, how can you prove this? How can you prove this?
Yeah, bro. But listen, obviously we don't have any other source about our God other than the Bible, right? Because that's what he chose to reveal himself through, and the account that he chose to leave for us. For example, it's like me asking a Muslim, right? Where are you getting this? Oh, the Quran. Yeah, but what else do you got?
Right. That's
the
what
Quran,
I'm saying. Like,
bro. Like
it's actually it's a dumb question though, but like I totally understand you, but I think that's his like point. He's like, well, where else are you getting this from? Where are you getting this information from?
I don't even think listen, Billy's trying to play the same game, but he has way less toys. Okay. He's trying to use biblical concepts like, isn't God the same always? You know what I mean? He's not asking Wes like, hey, what else do you got?
Yeah. He's trying to make it a contradiction
from the Bible to try to show that like, hey, what you're saying is silly based on the Bible. Because that idea of God's always the same and that God's a man, he's using the Bible to say those things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But Wesley is going in and being like, listen, you're not getting it.
Right.
It's not that God's a man. That's just a word.
Right.
And all we know is man and woman. And actually, as a matter of fact, God created them both, male and woman, in his own image. He actually has both. That's why we have male and women, man and woman, because God has both characteristics.
Right.
And you'll see Billy's going to be like, people don't believe that. Watch, just go on.
Though in Scripture, God has revealed himself through the masculine plural. And there are aspects of God's character that we see within Scripture that do actually communicate. You know, Jesus says that he longs to gather Israel like a mother hen collects her chicks. So we see aspects of, you know, the feminine of God, not meaning that God is feminine, but that the image of God reflects both the masculine and the feminine. And that's why when, you know, the two become one flesh, there's a uniting of that reflects the image of God as well within the covenant of marriage.
Do you actually believe that the majority of Christians really believe that God is not masculine, that God has both aspects? If you
I
ask
mean, it's
10
irrelevant what the
people, if you
majority
ask
of
10
Christians
people on
believe.
the road, how many would
Yeah.
tell you, that God's not a man? They've never been taught this.
Well, I was taught it growing up. I was taught it in when I was a child, when I went to seminary, when I went to Bible college. I was taught it in graduate school. I would say I would say a few things to that. I would say, in one sense, it's irrelevant what the majority of Christians believe,
Right.
because what historical biblical Christianity articulates is what they should believe. There are Christians who run around saying all sorts of things that are not in conformity to biblical, historical, Orthodox Christianity.
That was a good
Right.
response.
And they shouldn't believe that, because it's irrelevant. And so if one Christian believes something that is not
So
in
good.
line with biblical Christianity, I mean, that's on them. So God is not gendered, but he does express through inspired scripture the masculine the masculine pronoun.
That's pretty convenient. I mean, for an all-knowing, all-loving God to understand that human beings are going to take that and abuse it to put their boot on the neck of women for eons.
Yeah. I mean, there's
What?
Boots on the neck of women. Do you see
What?
do you see how evil that is though? Like, he's taking something and making it and blowing this up in a whole different, it doesn't even make any sense what he said.
I don't even get how he
Like,
got there.
I know. And it's so like evil and like harsh that it just leaves you with this taste. It's almost like
That's
it's like a
pretty
skill, man.
convenient for
Right.
an all-knowing God. What, that God used the word him or what? Like he to
Yeah.
describe himself?
Because
Like,
he says it's going to
what do you want
confuse
him to-
people.
what does that have to do with oppressing women?
Right.
It's
And-
dude, does he think that Christianity has historically oppressed women more
I think
than
that's
like
what. Oh yeah, I think
all
that's
other
what he thinks.
all other human religions or civilizations?
Which
Are you out
again,
of,
it's just
are
'cause he
you
doesn't-
out of your mind?
I know. It's the reason why, like, women are cared for and taken care of and loved and
Bro,
cherished.
slavery was abolished because of Christianity.
Right.
Women were elevated because of Christianity.
Right. Jesus
Uh,
himself did. He elevated women.
That's insane, though. Bro? Look at the Roman Empire. Look at the Greeks. Look at the Egypt. Look at any human civilization.
Right.
Almost all of them, almost unanimously, women were seen as lesser than,
Right.
right? But for some reason, Christianity is the one that oppressed women. Like, what is he even referring
so
to?
backwards.
What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Oh, he's got no proof.
He's just like throwing something out there, like the stupid gospel of Barnabas. That's fake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's just throwing stuff out there and seeing what sticks.
Right. Let's go.
There's a really great resource written by a friend of mine, John Dixon. It's a book called Bullies and Saints, where he goes through a lot of the instances of we're obviously going to find abuses, and every human being is going to find a way to exploit whatever is presented to them. So in one sense, I think we can say, isn't it convenient that God used the masculine plural pronoun? The masculine pronoun. I keep saying plural. It's just a mistake. The masculine pronoun. And we can say, oh, sure, that's convenient, maybe, but it is how he has revealed himself to us. And it's not his fault if we abuse that. One of the earliest criticisms of Christianity are by individuals like Celsus, who is a Greco-Roman philosopher in the 2nd century, where he accused Christianity of being foolish, dishonorable, and stupid. And he called it the religion of slaves, women, and children. Why? Not because God used the masculine pronoun for himself and people were abusing that, because the concept that Christians believed in of everybody, no matter what your gender, your race, your social standing, Paul says in Christ there is no slave nor free, there is no Jew nor Gentile, there is no Scythian or barbarian, there's no male nor female. These things united people. And we can see there's a historian named Rodney Stark, and in his book, The Rise of Christianity, he actually says that you can track empirically the agency of women across the ancient world by the movement of Christianity. So that, in other words, whenever an area became populated by Christians, we see a direct correlation with the privileges and treatments of women that expand in time when the surrounding culture largely didn't view women as being fully human. So I think we're always going to have abuses, but if there's one worldview that exists that gives agency to people and says that everybody has worth by nature of being just human, it's the Christian worldview. And that's where I think it's very different.
Amen.
So we can
Dude,
argue about why
solid.
we think God should or shouldn't have revealed himself in his pronouns, But I think that's actually irrespective of the historical reality that we see within the impact of Christianity, particularly on the West, but around the world, and how it gives agency to the marginalized.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So good. What an answer.
So,
I don't think he realized when he threw, it's convenient to put the boots on the neck of women. I don't think he realized what he was about to freaking unleash. You know what I'm saying?
oh man,
Dude,
so
and
amazing.
again, it was Christianity that elevated, for the first time, that elevated women, slaves, children, tore down the walls between slaves and masters, tore down the wall between Greeks, Jews, Roman, well, not the Greeks, but Romans, the Jews, all the other nations that surrounded Israel. Like that was the whole point. Okay. And
Right.
even here's one thing. Have you seen any of those videos or images of the Megiddo mosaic that they recently found?
Yeah. So
Dude,
cool.
stunning. So it's 1,800 years old. Okay. So it's arguably about 100 years older than when John the Apostle died. Okay.
Wow.
So 100 years after the last apostle died, and they just found it. It's a beautiful mosaic, tiny little tiles on the floor, and they believe it was used as like a secret hidden like prayer room. It's tiny, it's like 14 by 10 or something like that. And there's two fish on the floor with the mosaic within there, the tiles. It's two fish, okay, in the middle, which was the symbol of Christianity back in the day, right?
Right.
And then there's like some language that's tiled in as well. And one, it says that Jesus is God. Okay. So within the argument that people make is that like, oh, Constantine later in 500 and 600 AD, he's the one that made the Catholic Church, and they're the ones that first said that Jesus was God. The early church didn't believe that. The early church fathers didn't ever say that. 100 years after the last apostle dies, in stone, baby, we have followers of Christ saying Jesus is God. Okay, that's what they inscribe with their mosaic. Now, based on what Wesley was just saying, also in text in the mosaic is the name of a Roman centurion. Okay, and multiple women are mentioned in this mosaic.
Wow.
So it seems like maybe the women are the ones that kind of like either built the place or were kind of running the place. And maybe the centurion is the one that paid for it. You know what I'm saying? Wait, I thought God's pronouns were putting the boot on the neck of women.
Right.
But historically and factually, right? Not when you use fraudulent sources and make stupid claims. It was actually plenty of women in the early church that were in positions of power and renown.
Oh yeah.
What about Priscilla and Aquila? What about like Mary? What about like there's so many women in the Bible that are held in esteem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're the first ones I saw Jesus resurrected, right? They're the ones that first spread the gospel.
For sure. For sure. And they're mentioned,
crazy.
think about this, they're mentioned as witnesses to the resurrection, where in the Jewish community and tradition, a woman's testimony was zero. It wasn't admissible in court.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what the heck he's talking about. Show me a verse in the Bible, right? Where like God's oppressing women. I don't know. What do you want? Like maybe some Old Testament stuff. If a woman commits infidelity, like you stone her. Yeah, that's literally what everybody did.
Right.
Every culture around you.
That was the culture.
That's what you did. That's what you freaking did. And again, he takes cultural practices of that day and age, and he kind of puts perimeters around it. You know what I mean? And he says, hey, don't be like the other nations. If your girl's going to cheat on you, at least like give her a certificate of divorce first before stoning her.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We got one more, right?
One more.
So this is the Dogon tribe. Let's go into it. If I can ever get there.
And turn it down halfway.
Yeah. You're right. There we go.
Well, now I'm glad you said that. So
Where are you?
3 topics are a very small piece of my concept and idea of what really happened in the ancient past. So that's a very small fraction. It's less than 1/10%. You talk about eyewitness accounts convinced you that Christianity is real. There's been eyewitness accounts of every culture that I've visited around this entire planet, and their eyewitness accounts of what they experienced is 100,000% opposite what's in the Bible. People
That's pause it real quick.
What do you mean? Can you give me an example?
Can you give me an example?
That must be some like MIT and Harvard math. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
100,000 times more real than the eyewitness accounts of the Bible. Can you give me an example?
I know.
I love it.
I can't wait to hear what he said.
It's so
the
good.
Dogon tribe, for example, in Mali,
Dogon
Africa,
tribe.
they experienced a culture that they claim came to this planet from Sirius B. They have the evidence that they knew these beings were from Sirius B because they have the instruments that show the orbit of a trinary star system that we couldn't discover until the 1970s with our modern technology. Okay. They understood not only the orbital pattern of Sirius A, B, and C, but even that B was a failed star, which you can't see it from Earth with the naked eye. They knew that it was a white dwarf. They even knew that they said that if you took a tablespoon of it, the entire tribe or 1,000 men couldn't lift the tablespoon. They understood mass and gravity as well. They were told the shape, the sizes, and the colors of all the planets in our solar system.
Okay, so as an example, so he's saying they knew that it was a white dwarf. They knew that it was a failing star. They knew what mass and gravity was. They knew the colors and planets and alignment. And okay, like give us examples, right?
Right.
Of what you're quoting. What sources are you using? What manuscripts? What evidence do you have to make these claims? Because he just quoted, if 1,000 men try to lift a spoon, they will not be able to. Oh, is that your evidence for them understanding gravity?
Right.
But this is what he does.
Yeah.
He just makes statements that fit the big picture, the narrative that he's trying to weave, right? And if you ask him, okay, what do you mean? Well, they obviously knew about gravity because 1,000 men couldn't lift a spoon. Like, you're just making stuff up. You're just going to take, dude, I have one of Billy's books. Okay. And this is what he does all the time. I could go grab it. Damn it. I wish I had it right here so I could like bust a Wesley move where I'm like, but I got it right here. You know what I mean? And he does this all the time. He'll quote at length not scripture, but like manuscripts or even religious texts from other religions, right? And it's just this really, a lot of it's just a hodgepodge of like thoughts and really amorphous ideas. And then he'll come to a conclusion like, and they understood gravity. Right. And you're like, what? They just talked about a spoon, bro. Like they're not teasing out a theory of gravity here.
Doesn't it blow
You're
your
making
mind?
it up.
Doesn't it blow your mind that he's actually, I mean, he seems genuine that he believes this stuff, right? Like, and it takes, what is that phrase that it's like, takes more faith to be an atheist than it does to be a Christian, right? It's like, dude, I think it's in this discussion that he has, he just goes off on, it's like so many different things that I'm just like, wait a second. Like, how are you even believing this? Like, this sounds crazy. Now, like, I know the Bible sounds strange and, and wondrous in a lot of different ways, but there's a lot of crazy stuff that's coming out of Billy's mouth that I'm just like, all right, dude, I think the Bible is way easier to understand or to accept than the stuff that you're talking about. Yeah,
but he says so much so fast, and there's nobody there to refute him.
Yeah.
That he just keeps going. He just keeps going. And anytime he finds something that fits his story, he adopts it. But when he finds something or runs into a beast like freaking Wesley, okay, that shuts down all of his arguments and proves that what he's saying is not true, I wonder if he's going to recant any of the statements, any of the interviews, anything. Is he going to put out a statement? Is he going to do anything now that factually it's been proven that what he's saying is inaccurate? Do you think he's going to do anything? No. You know what he's going to do? Probably try to get this video taken down. He's probably going to go after other people that are commentating and reposting the debate he had. allegedly he had them take it down, allegedly, right? He's probably going to keep doing that because this guy is probably going on like disaster control right now.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
for sure.
And listen, when somebody is trying to hide, that's what they do. They try to hide the things that they're afraid of, right? But I don't think God's going to be mocked on this one, bro. I don't think he's going to let this one. I don't think God's going to let this one
coming
slide.
out. It
is coming out more and more.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Hit it.
System, which they recorded, and there's only one wisdom keeper, and that person can never be touched by a person. If they get touched by another person, they'd actually be killed. And then they eventually have a mentee that they break down that verbally handed down knowledge to, and that next person then takes over and becomes the wisdom keeper. And they've been doing this for thousands and thousands of years. And science, modern science, has found all their information to be 1,000% accurate. Then you have the Hopi tribe of the Americas, indigenous tribes, Hopi tribe, Lakota tribe, also having engagements with these quote unquote star brothers, even having an account of them being taken underground, which you don't see just only in America. I just came back from Turkey. You have the people from Turkey and Mesopotamia also being taken underground into a place called Derinkuyu by these beings, by these people, a structure that's built 12 stories deep underground, that's made out of volcanic tuff, a very soft stone. And if you don't know what you're doing, it'll actually collapse. There's no evidence of any collapse. And it was thousands of years old. It was reused many times. So the mainstream story about what it was used for to hide from Romans is actually false. This place is ancient. And in order to build it, you actually have to have foreknowledge of how to construct this type of an underground civilization that can hold 20 to 30,000 people, places for livestock, places for worship, with no sign of collapse. Then you have to have hundreds of ventilation shafts. And I've been down there. Those ventilation shafts cut through solid rock all the way down to the core. And there's even more. It links to other underground cities that are miles and miles away.
Dude,
as you get to the very base of this area, you can cut through and go to another location. But again, these people were taken under. Also, then you have the ancient Egyptians.
It's like computing.
Similar story. Major catastrophe comes. These people come and take them underground. Then you have the information in the Egyptian book of Going Forth by Day. More accounts by people, our ancestors, that have accounts that do not match up with the biblical text. And so all of a sudden we're saying that all these cultures, the Aboriginal people, I can go into them as well. I've gone for walkabouts in Outback, in the Outback, and the Aboriginal elders, same thing. They were seated here by Pleiadians. This is their verbal handed down history for thousands of years. And I can go around the world and I can come up with all this information from all these eyewitness accounts from people that should be respected, dignified, and shouldn't be scoffed. And that we're now saying that all this information that they put forward, all their verbal handed down history, all their written history, that's got to go to the side because this one text is 1,000% accurate.
Sure, but so my question is, most of that is oral history, correct?
Oh, it's all oral history, even the Bible.
Okay, so when we're engaging with oral history, what methodologies are you using to confirm that the orality is accurate?
Oh man. Well, first and foremost, some of these texts some of these cultures have written down information in caves. You've got cave paintings. The Dogon tribe actually have not only written down.
Sure. No, caves, I don't disagree with that. The question is one of historic. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. The question is one of methodological analysis. So you have to have a method by which you can find either that something is falsifiable or that there are avenues by which you can show internal and external accuracy of credibility. So this is what we do with documents. Jeez. This is what we do with the ancient gospels. This is what I do. I've worked on Xenophon and Plutarch, and we look at the internal evidences and the external multivalent corroboration to try to figure out, okay, yes, we have all these stories. Great. I don't deny that. But as a historian, as someone who's trying to figure out what is accurate, how do you know if I use the term verisimilitude, do you know what that term means?
No, but I can tell you this. Tell me how the Dogon tribe saw Sirius B, knew the orbit of Sirius B, a trinary star system, accurately, and can show you the orbit with a special tool that they made that was given to them by these people. Okay. How do they know the shapes, the sizes of the?
Okay, so Wesley is basically asking him like scientific academic questions, okay, of how are you arriving at your conclusions, right?
Yeah, what are the methodologies, right?
What are the relative attitude, whatever he said, like he's using these words, right? These are scientific, academic, scholastic words. This is what he's learning in school. This is how you practice history and manuscript evidence and all of this, right?
Or even oral traditional sayings and teachings.
This is how you do it right here, okay? So when he asks Billy, what's your methodology? Billy's response, oh man, he's not ready.
No.
Billy's not ready.
They're written in caves.
He's not freaking ready for this, okay? Because Billy is not an academic.
Correct.
He's a storyteller.
Hmm.
That's what this is. He's a storyteller. That's why he jives with and resonates with the oral traditions and stories of blah, 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 blah. Ask him about anything,
that's a great point.
any manuscripts, any historic evidence, anything like that. He's got 0. Okay.
Yeah.
But he clings to the oral tradition and he clings to the stories because that's what he does as well. Okay. And that's, I think we're kind of getting there. You know, I think we're kind of getting to why Billy is and does the things he does, you know. I think he's a storyteller, bro. And that's it.
No, I think that you said that perfectly.
And there's no difference. He's clinging on to these things, these the lore within certain cultures and mythology within those cultures. He's clinging on to that. And as Christians, we do not disagree with that. We have answers for those cultures' mythology. They're called demons. They're called fallen angels. They're called Nephilim. It's called Satan. We've got words for what you're describing. Okay. So it's actually not contradictory. It's actually not 100,000% crazier and more accurate than the Christian written tradition, right? We actually have similar stories to that, right? So it's not that far-fetched. I don't know why and this again goes to show you that Billy's not like up to date on Christian perspective and concepts, right? Because, bro, go read Heiser, put on Haunted Cosmos, put on Blurry Creatures, go listen to freaking Tim Alberino. Like, Christians are talking about ancient pyramids built before the flood. We're talking about the days of Noah. We're talking about giants. We're talking about aliens. We're doing this now. This is ours. We're having these conversations as well. It's not just the Dogon tribe.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was having these conversations. So he's just not up to date, man. And I think it's those two things together, storytelling and ill-informed.
Call this an orbital pattern of all these planets in our solar system and other star alignments that we use to have something called the Ziggy and planet and their own harvesting and planting and so forth and so on. That's not enough evidence that there's something.
Well, I'm not aware of that particular case. And even, I mean, I would grant that, you know, the ancient people are far more technological advanced than we give themselves credit for. Just because they're ancient doesn't mean they're stupid. I am well aware, as someone who has done both investigation of the past and done archaeological analysis, that is a reality. My question is simply, okay, you have these stories or you have these accounts, you're referring to them as eyewitness testimony. How are you going about verifying that as that?
Well, if the people had eyewitness testimony about Jesus, they then just wrote down their eyewitness testimony on a piece of paper or parchment paper or papyrus. So these people...
Right. So that's where internal methodological analysis...
Some of it's actually written down. So, I mean, it's the same exact thing. There's really no difference.
Well, no. So you do internal investigations to figure out when something was dated. So something like I
mean, he's teaching him. He's educating him.
He's educating
on methodologies, right?
Exactly.
Billy has no idea. He doesn't even know how to answer it.
He's not a scholar. He's not an academic, bro.
Wes is going out of his way to actually teach him.
Bingo.
In such a respectful way. Man, I love his heart. So
when I use that term verisimilitude...
Hold on real quick. Yeah, he's very Canadian. Hey, but you know what else this reminds me of? Okay, no offense to any of our fans out there. This reminds me of people that I talk to that are all about flat Earth. you can sit there. Yeah, Dennis, shame. Hey, you can sit there and go into science, methodology, all sorts of evidences. Sure, you don't like it and you want to say it's fake and it's all just made up and CGI. Okay, that's fine. But listen, there's actually ways to go about figuring things out in like a scientific manner. Even if the earth is flat, you got to give me some scientific evidence for that. It can't just be, yeah, but what about, how do you explain the Dogon? How did they know that the stars were all there?
Yeah, no.
This is the argument. This is the
legitimate.
same
Yeah,
thing.
It's very similar to that.
You just can't explain something. So you try to disregard somebody that's spent years like actually coming up with evidence and with the system and methodology that's accepted to kind of come up with those truths, you know, just because you don't get it, because you don't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. I know AG was like, AG agrees with you. She's like, yeah, he's not up to date about what Christian beliefs are and about this stuff. Actually,
Bingo.
He should watch the upcoming Prophecy Watchers conference in Branson. Nice.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, that's
promo
awesome.
code. Sometimes we get promo codes.
Yeah, we'll probably have one for that.
Maybe, yeah.
All right, let's finish this up.
For it. That's something we as historians are looking for. It's a term that simply means the appearance or likelihood of truthfulness. So when you do historical analysis, it's an inference to the best explanation. So you have proof and you have data, and you're extrapolating that data on levels of probability. So some things can be confirmed as high probabilistically true, and other things are lower in their probability that they happened. But there are different methodologies, different ways that you explore historically how that happens.
This is
for the Gospels, we look at
with the Dogon tribe. Scientists went there to visit the tribe, and they still have no answers because they used their modern science. They took the best scholars to visit these people, and they're still scratching their heads. Something happened there.
Sure.
That doesn't.
And I'm not even denying that necessarily, but the question is, okay, we need different levels of evidence and exploration, not just scientifically, but historically, to derive something as eyewitness testimony. Now we have mountains of that, and I'm more than willing to go into some of that with the Gospels as early eyewitness testimony that can be verified externally and internally. But nonetheless, the only reason I ask, Billy, is because I've listened to a fair amount of your content, and I'm unaware of the methods that you use to try to discern between what is an accurate source historiographically and an inaccurate source historiographically.
Well, I use getting in an airplane and traveling to these places.
This is my own research,
talking with indigenous cultures, and researching as much of the text that is available that I can possibly find.
Okay, so I don't just.
That's his methodology. That's it. It's I go and I visit and I see with my own eyes.
Yeah.
And I talk to these people and they tell me, so I come back and then I do a bunch of videos on it, saying that this is true and everything else is false. And so I'm right. That's his whole premise.
That's it. That's the whole thing, man.
And he's getting paid to go to these places, and this is his livelihood, right? Like he's right. And so of course he comes back. He has to come back with something, and then he comes back and he's like, "Oh, I just learned a new truth from this tribe that whatever." And they showed me a painting on a cave with, and yet Wes said the gospel has mountains of evidence for their eyewitness accounts and for all the copies and all these things, mountains of evidence. And he has him getting on a plane.
Exactly.
That's it. That's the whole, like what this whole thing hinges on.
Think about how like arrogant that is though, man. Like,
oh yeah.
You just go there, you look at something, you fit it into your narrative and completely disregard like other people's opinions on it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like I would like learn about those things before I start talking about them.
You know what's really sad though, Ben? Like the how empowered he is. Sorry to cut you off, but like how empowered he is, because he's got so much backing. It's like, dude, that's how dumb people are. I mean, seriously, like, and people like give money to this without any evidence, without just because he's a good storyteller, I think, or a teller of stories, right? He is good at this, and he is, and he's pleasant to listen to. I remember the first time I came across him, I'm like, ooh, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. I mean,
and he talks about interesting stuff.
Oh,
bro.
yeah, really interesting stuff.
Listen, if Billy Carson didn't attack Jesus and Christianity regularly,
right,
I would be such a fan.
Yeah,
I would listen to all his stuff. Okay.
Right.
It's so weird that he has to veer off from the like fun, alien, pyramid, all that kind of stuff. He veers off from that and somehow ends up attacking Christianity as if Jesus and Christianity is the threat to the new agey crap that he espouses.
Good point.
You see what I'm saying? Bro, he's not attacking Islam for their subjugation of women today. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like right now.
Right now. You're going to go after Christianity for putting their boot on the neck of women because God said he's a man.
Right. It makes no sense.
What about these other freaking cultures today that you're not calling out? Why not? Is it because you need travel visas to go to these countries to do your shenanigans and put on your parade?
Yeah,
Probably.
he lost all credibility with
Probably.
me. Like after this whole thing, all credibility.
If he were to go after Islam the way he goes after Christianity, I bet you he would not be allowed to go back to Egypt,
right,
to Syria, to wherever else he's going, Turkey. So it's a convenient little fact here that he only goes after the country. He only goes after the religions of countries that aren't going to like deny him travel visas. You know what I mean? He needs to stay on Islam's good side so that he can continue his shtick.
That's right. That's right. Let's go.
Dispute that, and I do believe you have done that, but I mean, even from what we've talked about, so you've researched the text, but when we talked about the crucifixion, everything you cited was either, and I mean with all due respect, false in terms of the Sinai Bible, because Codex Sinaiticus is just a 4th century Greek manuscript that we have today, or they were verified forgeries in terms of the Gospel of Jesus' wife.
You might be right. You may be right on that particular part of the topic, but like I said, that's less than 0.1% of the information that I hold.
Sure, but that was the original question. So yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, okay, well, so I'm going off of what we've already talked about. So you said you explored the text. I don't deny that, but
this was clipped on earlier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was what's it called? I can't think of the word right now. I'm all talked out. So first, live on Ben is the Menace. Ben has no words. Allegedly. It was relevant. It was relevant at that point too, because Wesley keeps asking him, what's your method?
Yeah.
Right? What's your method?
Yeah. None.
So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the leaked debate of Billy Carson and Wesley Huff.
Yeah, I really did enjoy the whole thing. And it just, like I said, Billy lost all credibility in my opinion, which
for sure
doesn't really matter. But in my opinion, I do respect him, for certain things, and at least for his
bro.
Teller of stories, but he's telling us stories. But it's just really sad, and it's sad how many people actually are so deceived and fall into these traps. And you know what? It made me, like just ask myself, like, hey, as I'm scrolling through Instagram and whatever, and as I'm allowing this information to come into my head, because I get sent a lot of stuff from you and some other friends, and and then you, and then some other friends, and then you, and then sometimes I'll send you something, you're like, that you tear it up, or Cam will just tear it up, and I love that about you guys. But then it's like, man, if I didn't have that, I could get deceived, too. Like, it's so, if you don't do the research, that's the thing. Like, at what point, like, how much does it matter to you? Right? Like, I could tell, Ben, for like, this matters a lot to you. You put the time into it. You looked into it. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the thing. People get so distracted. It's one thing or another. Now with that shooting with the healthcare guy, like, it's just all this stuff happening. did you hear about the O.J. Simpson thing too? Like that they found tape that he admitted to the murders now. Like I'm like, oh, just another distraction,
The juice.
Right. Like it's crazy, but this is the world we live in, and it's only getting worse with social media and with connectivity and data and how fast we're getting it all.
You know what this reminds me of? The point you're making right now, that Bible verse, knowledge will increase. Straight up.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I have access to everything right now. Everything.
Yeah.
And
we'll just wait until that chip is implanted in people's head. Like it's even crazier, right?
Our next live will be going over.
We're going to talk about Mr. Musk.
Elon Musk and how he is a snake in the grass, ladies and gentlemen. Not saying he's the Antichrist, but maybe the false prophet. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
You know, I'm hearing it more and more, though. I'm hearing it more and more that is a theory. I still don't subscribe to it yet. It's just too obvious. That's the thing. If it's too obvious, I'm just like, yeah, no, I don't think so. It's too obvious. It's that possible that it's like just too obvious for me. Because I could totally see it happening. I just don't think that's the case. Okay, but let's not get into that right now.
Yeah. I think let's put our hoods back on.
Yeah, we got to go back. Hey, Wes, if you're listening, man,
Wesley,
I know we've been hitting you up for a long time. Just mad respect, Wes, for what you've done and for keeping your composure, your calmness. Mark, for putting that together.
Yes.
Whoever leaked it, thank you.
Yes.
We need to get this out there. I think more believers need to be talking about this, right?
Yes.
Because this is the deception. This is what people are running into, especially in the new age world. And we're just so easily deceived because of the technology, because of the increase in knowledge, because of the access to good and bad information, right? Like, not that it should be guarded by anything, but hey, think about what you're allowing into your life, right?
Yeah,
Whether it's
true.
Through social media or through friendships or through
guard your eyes.
Right, man. Like now more than ever, right?
Dude, I used to think it was silly when I heard that. And I was like, dude, get out of here. I'm a freaking adult. You know what I mean? It's true though. You'll get it's just like a little seed of a thought. And that thing will grow. You know?
Dude, I see it. I see it in friends when we're sharing memes and stuff. And it's like, I'll get like a weird one from someone or something a little out there. And then I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then they'll send another one like that and then another one like that and another one. And I know the algo's doing it. Yeah. But at the same time, what's happening is because we're feeding that, right?
Yeah.
It's like that saying, like there's two
peas in a pod.
No. Like there's two beasts inside you, whichever one you feed is the one that grows, or I totally butchered that. But it's good. Like when you feed that, and the algorithm's feeding us that, right? Because we're looking at that, right? And it catches our attention. And then we're watching those videos. And so like I see it even in friends and things. I'm like, hey man, that's not, you got to look into that. And then, so thank you to Wes and other people are doing these videos, these response videos. And we were going to do this actually with an interviewee on our show, but we wanted to get to it a lot faster and not let this sit. So that's why we wanted to do this today. So thank you everybody who joined. It was so great. This is our first live. It was a success.
Allegedly.
Ben. Congratulations.
Guys, everything worked.
So okay. If you're still listening,
I like this.
I love this. If you're still listening, hey, we got to title this. So it's either allegedly is the title of this, or oh Billy. I like the old Billy.
Nobody's gonna know what this is. Listen, this is the live. We had the people watching, but then it's also gonna get uploaded. So it has to have like a legit title.
Can we have two titles? Allegedly, oh Billy, or
Billy Carson, Wesley Huff. Debate leaked. Click now.
Oh man, but yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with us and for listening to all this, and let's pray for Billy.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
Because how
for
cool,
Mark and for Wes.
Yeah, and you see even Mark in this. If you watch the whole video,
Anton.
like Mark's really confused too, and Anton for putting this together, and for God to strengthen him in all this because he's getting bombarded right now. If he's getting a dude coming to his house, with papers to serve him, I mean, let's let that needs some prayer for sure. But also for Mark was really confused. I saw this in there.
He was genuine.
Yeah, he was confused about some things, and then towards the end of that video, he was just like going back at Wes a little bit about Well, how come it says this to this culture and not to our culture? Like, wouldn't God be smart enough? Legitimate questions.
Early in the faith.
Yeah.
I did hear that Wesley stays on about half an hour after the debate and talks to him. I haven't seen that.
Oh,
that wasn't put out,
Oh.
and at least in the clip that I put together, or in the thing that I captured and downloaded, the video, he didn't have the full conversation just with Wes and Mark.
Allegedly. Allegedly. Yeah, but really cool though. I'm really glad this came out, because it was really disheartening when I saw Wes's first video, and I'm like, oh man, that sucks. Like, it's not going to come out. But now that it did, when you told me it was leaked, I was so happy. So yeah, like this is a big deal. And
God won't be mocked, baby.
Yeah, man. The light, the truth comes out, right? The truth will be revealed. And I love that about our faith. But yeah, prayers for Billy, for Mark, for Anton, for Wes, to continue to strengthen him. Man, this guy is just so solid. And I wish I could be more like him. And a little bit more like you, Ben, in some ways. But
I'm not listening to you. I'm reading the comments.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, dude. Rabbi Gene.
What?
Wait, no. Oh. Somebody's saying to get Rabbi Gene back on. We're trying to get Rabbi Gene back on.
Wasn't he awesome?
Love.
Loved Rabbi.
I'm trying to set up. Remember, I sent you that clip to you and Cam of the guy we're going to get on to talk about the Talmud?
Yes.
Okay, tomorrow I'm going to have a call with that guy to schedule it. After he comes on, I want him and Gene to chat.
Ooh, I don't know if they would, though. That would be amazing.
I already reached out to Gene.
Would Gene do it? Or did he respond?
I didn't ask if he would do it. I asked Gene for advice. I'm trying to
Let's just not
tread.
Tell him.
I'm trying to tread lightly because of the Jew stuff. Because
but it's a great conversation.
People are pretty sensitive around them topics, allegedly. And I was asking Gene, like, hey, how can I handle this situation wisely? And if he would be down to talk to this dude, I would love it. But this one we have coming up about the Talmud is gonna be spicy.
Yeah, man. I'm super stoked.
Stay tuned for spicy Jewish stuff only on Nis and Ben. I wonder if we should do it live or if we should
No. Any interviews?
Dude, do you realize we could just do lives?
Oh, I know.
With our guests?
I know. We could. I know. That's what a lot of people do too. And we'll do that. You know what we'll do? We'll do lives with our people who follow and stuff. That'd be cool to bring on like someone that follows and watches us and can chime in. People who comment a lot, like we'll get them on lives and stuff.
People could super chat us.
They could super chat. They could come in. They can request to be on our live.
What? Are people coming?
They can request. Yeah, our viewers can request to get on. I mean, I know Instagram did that. I don't know if YouTube does that. But
I don't know if YouTube does that.
Yeah. Well, we have hoodies every time we do a live. I don't know. Should we do the hoodies? Should we rock the hoodies? It's wintertime. It's cold in Jacksonville. So
shut up. It's cold in Jacksonville.
Man.
I'm in freaking
Boise. 40
Boise.
degrees this morning.
I'm in Boise. There's snow outside.
42.
Dennis,
that's nice.
I should have recorded it. I was in so much shock that I didn't even think about recording. Hey, these guys have been spraying out here, the chemtrails stuff, like crazy. They always do, but it was like yesterday. No, I'm sorry. The day before yesterday, which was what, Monday? What's today?
Today's Wednesday, my friend.
Okay, so I was right. Monday, they were spraying like crazy. Okay, it was the craziest I've ever seen. It literally looked like there was a chessboard above my head. That's how many lines. Just it was a checkered board.
They're ramping it up.
Then yesterday, there was a fog that like I couldn't see 300 feet. A football field away.
No way.
Such a dense fog. And then at night with our beams on, like my headlights on, okay, there would be like a gust of fog. It just looked like cloud, like regular ass fog. And then out of nowhere, it looked like somebody ground up aluminum and was spraying it into the air. It looked like confetti, just like metallic shards
going in
front of our high beams. And it just looked like granulated metal in the air, and then it would stop and it would just be a cloud again, and then it would
What?
start again. So I think that there was whatever they're spraying, their aluminum, their whatever granulated metallic stuff. I think it's what condensed and came down as fog, and then it was in the fog. Like you could see it, you could freaking see it, man. It looked like somebody went like this with like metal
How
shavings.
does this not collect though? Like collect on the cars or the ground? Like how?
I bet you it absorbs. I bet you it goes into the soil. And they say
Mm.
that. They say that you can, the levels of aluminum in soil over the past 100 years has gone up like 10,000%.
Oh yeah, how come we haven't like had a test on that? I mean,
There
that I've
are.
seen.
There
Yeah,
are. They
but
kill,
like,
they bury them.
yeah, they bury them for sure.
For everybody that just got on, we're getting off.
Yes, thank you
But-
for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, allegedly. Join us on the next one because I genuinely enjoyed doing this live.
You know, Ben, for the record, I've been asking for a long time. Oh, AG's in Michigan. I grew up in Chicago, Midwest. That's why
Nice.
you get along so well, AG, you and I. That's her nickname now. It's AG.
Relax, bro. She's married.
I know, but she's our
Oh, okay.
friend. We say we're friends, and
Okay,
it's AG,
okay.
and she was happy that I gave her a nickname. It's just because I couldn't type American Girl that fast in the comments, so I use AG. But
She's been a trooper.
shout out from Michigan to AG and her husband, and all the people that joined us. Voice, thank you for hanging out.
He gets beans. He's got to DM us.
Yeah, DM us and share this, and just keep speaking the truth, guys. You know, and don't be shy about it. You know, talk about it.
You'd be surprised how many people are eager to have these kinds of conversations.
yeah.
I was always embarrassed, and then I got a little more bold, specifically about aliens, and then
Yeah.
it just always led to Jesus. And people
Yeah.
were like, "Dude, wow, that's interesting."
Them aliens are coming, man. We got to talk about that. Let's do a hang sesh soon, and we'll talk about aliens and all the juicy stuff.
juicy stuff.
Yeah, and guys, he can't censor me, so get ready. We'll do a live. Okay, so we're gonna try to commit to our hang sessions to be live from now on.
Oh, I would love it.
So come
We should do
join
one
us.
a week live.
You know, I'm not going to agree to that because every time we just decide we're going to do something,
But this
like,
is a step in the right direction.
totally. I'm very proud of
This
us. But,
really. Do you realize I don't have to edit this?
oh yeah, you must be.
Do you know how
so
much time
thrilled.
this is going to save me at least 3 hours?
What are you going to do with all your time?
We could do another live.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay,
All right,
guys, love you. Thank you
Have a
for
great night.
joining us. Have a good night. Like, share, subscribe. Ben is Menace, allegedly.
Oh, Billy.
Nice, bro.
All right, how do we get off now?
I don't know.